Welcome back to Dragon Claw. Today is another first. We're going to be looking at a kitchen knife, but a fairly unique kitchen knife. We're looking at a folder kitchen knife. This is the SENBON Santoku. Santoku is a type of knife, kitchen knife, very similar to a chef knife. Most people would consider it one and the same, and they're similar enough to to understand why, but technically they're different. So because of that, this is probably going to be a little bit longer than most of my other videos. I'll try my best to keep it short and sweet, like I've promised several times over. So let's get on with it. Let's talk about some of the specs. The SENBON Santoku. The frame length is 5.5 inches. Blade length is 4.5. Let's see, try to center it here. And overall, just under 10 inches at 9.8. We'll call it. I'm trying to do a little bit better on my positioning. I'm starting to get a little lax in watching what I'm doing and just getting lost in the situation. So let's see, 9.5 or a little under 10 overall length, 6 and just under 6.5 ounces total weight. For that big of a knife, it's pretty lightweight, especially for what's considered to be a kitchen knife. It has an olive wood handle. As you can see, I really like the natural light wood handles. There are some exceptions, like the walnut handle from the koala tree was actually pretty good, but generally speaking, I like the light woods. And fairly unique steel for my reviews. This is actually a 440A. This is 440A, which is a low carbon, which is actually why it's used in the kitchen knife series, because it's considered truly stainless. So 440 series as a whole is just low carbon. 440A specifically is the lowest of all the 440s. Keep in mind that because it's a very low carbon, truly stainless, that it's not very well wear resistant. That's one of the cons to that. One of the pros is it can be readily manufactured, machined, and easily sharpened. So pros and cons of the 440. Surprisingly, I'd say surprisingly lightweight considering the size. It's a very big knife, way bigger than what I thought. I need to pay attention, a little bit more attention to sizes when I get these knives. I've been surprised a couple times, and this is one of them. It was advertised as a quote-unquote peeling utility knife. I have extremely big hands, double, triple X gloves at the smallest. And this one really is big in my hands, so I would not call this a peeling knife, not to mention the fact that it's technically a Santoku, which is not a peeling knife. Utility knife, I'll give you that. So let's see, some other kind of pros, cons, general info. I mentioned the natural color handle, which is really cool. One of the things that caught my eye on this one was the nicks, and it's probably hard to see. There's just a ton of nicks on this spine when I pulled it out of the box, brand new. Get my hand out of the way. I don't know if you can see them. And yeah, there we go. Maybe in there. You kind of see one right there. Boom. One next to it. So that one was one of the first things that caught my eye. Was just a ton of nicks. I could probably feel like 3 or 4 on this side alone, and at least a couple more over here. A little disappointed in that. The handle, overall, I would have liked to seen the edges a little bit smoothed off. Considering this is a kitchen knife, typically kitchen knives are very ergonomic, and this one is not so ergonomic. It's very kind of harsh, so that I was kind of thrown off by. So yeah, I would like to see handle edges being tapered off, beveled a little bit better. Since it's such a big knife, if you notice, I'm generally not a flicker. I think if you got to flick a knife open, then it's probably a problem. But maybe I'm getting a little spoiled by assisted opens, ball bearings, things like that. But this is such a big knife, you really do have to flick it, and flick it a certain way. So hold down on the handle instead of up, and just get a good little flick. And as you can see, we'll occasionally miss one here and there. Yeah, so you gotta give it a good flick to open it up. I really dig that full bevel, no flat. Obviously you're gonna have ricasso no matter what, but yeah, no flat, just solid bevel from edge to spine. Other thing to note when I'm talking about that blade is usually, not always, but usually your Santokus, there'll be a single bevel. This actually has a double. You can see that edge right there on both sides. But you typically have a single bevel on a Santoku, just because you can get a lot thinner of an edge when you go with a single bevel. For example, on a chef knife, if I can get a 30-degree angle on a chef knife on that edge, on a Santoku, if I go with a single bevel, I can get upwards of a 15-degree angle. So a lot sharper of an edge, typically. So on that note, there's probably a lot out there who don't know a difference between chef and Santoku, and like I said earlier, it's really tough to explain the difference. A lot of people just go by with what supposedly is the meaning of Santoku, which is the 3 virtues, that roughly gets translated into English as 3 uses when it comes to kitchen knives. 3 virtues, 3 uses, and those 3 uses are referred to as, potentially you might read different websites telling different things. I always go to slicing, dicing, and chopping. So that is, generally speaking, the use of a Santoku, but a lot of times they're used interchangeably, Santokus and chef knives. The one thing I thought was a little odd was the tip is almost spear-like, a little bit more like a chef knife. Santokus typically stay fairly straight all the way to the tip. This one actually comes up a lot more than you would think, or you would see most Santokus. So one of the big differences is on a Santoku, when you're cutting, is you don't need to rock like a chef knife. And this one, as you can see, you do need to rock a little bit to get to the end. So Santokus typically will be a lot more flat, not perfectly flat. It'll come up a little bit towards the tip. This one does not, so it's almost like a hybrid Santoku chef knife, if you will. Let's see. I'm gonna save the liner lock for last. I did notice one thing. If you look at the imprint, let's see if I can get there. Santoku, almost roast free, 440. So 440 obviously is a steel, but roast free. that is kind of a fun little rabbit hole I dug myself into. So roast free is literally in German means rust free. So I had to dig into my German roots in this one because I was like, that sounds German on a what you might think is a Japanese knife. What's going on here? So yeah, roast free is German for rust free, which kind of makes sense because it's being touted as 440A, truly stainless. And what it turns out is rust free you'll see stamped on authentic German made or high class knives. So considering this was not a very expensive knife, I won't call it cheap. It was just inexpensive for sure. Had me a little on edge of why it would say roast free. So I would think the knife at this cost would not have that stamped, but some people use that to give the impression it's a very expensive or high quality knife. So if you don't pay much for a knife and you see that, it gets you a little worried. So we'll see. Verdict's still out on that. Let's talk last about that liner lock. I always talk about aggressive jimping. That's about the most aggressive jimping I have on any knife. That's darn near serrated edge on that, as can be seen on my thumb. So that's bit me a few times. After a lot of use over and over again, yeah, you're gonna have a mark. I don't know about draw blood, but you will definitely have a mark like that one using it over and over and over again. So not necessarily something you want to use a lot, but I thought it was maybe something to keep around in the camper trailer, just have on hand, something that's not going to take up a lot of room. Overall, still early. I would hate to say that, oh, I love it, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Pun intended, I know, weak. But overall, especially for the price, I thought it was worth a shot just to take a look at it and see what this thing had to offer. I didn't mention my typical catch on thumb stud. Only a single stud, which it's better than nothing. I love thumb studs, but I always like the duals. Again, I'm always saying for my left-handed peeps out there. So it is only a single stud, and looks like it might come out. You might be able to reverse it, but I don't know. I would like to take a little bit deeper dive in that and see if it could be reversed, but we'll see. I think that's about it. Coil's decent, or choil, decent there. It's one where, yeah, you might want to have a tendency to grip up on it, but not. It's a chef knife, so, or a chef type knife, a kitchen knife, so you expect something there for the bolster. So overall, I like it. After I get some heavy use into it, I'll probably make some more comments and let you know how it's working out. Other than that, I appreciate you stopping by. Thanks for your time. Have a good one.